Hi, everyone. My name is Patrick Starling. I'm a Director of Sales Engineering at FactSet. Thank you for the shushers. And at FactSet, what I really want to talk to you guys about today is how we're very excited about the idea of application interop. We've had a lot of people talk about FDC3 and everything else tonight, so I'm glad to be following up with all of them. The big reason we're so excited about interop is because we know our users need more tools to do their day job than just use our FactSet workstation. The OpenFin guys and all the other scaffold providers have been doing a really great job making it so easy to push out web apps and make that the standard way of putting applications out in front of the user audience. But one of the big challenges I've seen from coming to a number of FinJS events is we haven't really gotten the whole multi-vendor ecosystem up off the ground in the way that we'd like to yet. So that's what I want to talk about today. So for those of you who aren't familiar with FactSet, we have been around for about 40 years. We're a major market data and financial technology provider. We support over 120,000 users using our FactSet Workstation terminal product today, and millions of users who use our digital properties. We're also a huge content factory. We collect more than 28 of our own unique content sets. We have over 850 commercial content sets on the platform, 300 exchanges, 99 partner content sets up on our Open FactSet marketplace. But let's talk about how we can all work together to elevate our apps and how they come together to solve workflow problems for users, because that's what we're really here to do, isn't it? So the reason we're big on this is because we know all of our end users need multiple apps to go about their day job. Sometimes you need lots of apps to go about your day job. So what we have to do is figure out how we can bring these together. Now at FactSet, we have lots of data, we have lots of little apps that make up the FactSet experience, and I want to share with you how we have turned that into a cohesive user experience for our users and how we can extend that to multi-vendor ecosystems. So how did we get started? What was our journey to interop? Well, the original FactSet, if you've known us for 40 years, was actually a sheet of paper. You called up and ordered a FactSet, and it was brought to you by a bike courier. That is old school interop right there. And then in the 80s, we went online. And we started being the cloud before we were calling it cloud. And we started offering FactSet as a hosted service. And that was really the time when we started bringing on multiple content providers on the system. We didn't have our own content. We brought on data from Thomson and from Reuters. We brought on estimates from IBIS and First Call. And what our magic really was bringing that data together and providing a cohesive UI, showing it all side by side, because that's how users really look at it. Over time, we grew. We added news, we added exchange data, we added regulatory filings, we have benchmarks, we have risk models, all sorts of great content. But every time we brought new data sets in, we had to think very carefully about what's the user experience of this content going to be, and how do we tie it together with all the data we already have on the system. So how do we think about giving our users a cohesive experience through all of that data? So the real magic that we've built out over those 40 years is something we call our entity data model. It's this piece right here in the middle of bringing that data in and normalizing it and pushing it out through our apps and feeds, where we focus on tying together all the entities. That's the companies, it's the securities, it's the listings, it's the people. What are all those relationships? And then doing identifier concordance across our content sets and other content sets so that it all makes sense. Now, this is actually a really tricky thing to do, and I'm going to show you a way to visualize all that in just a minute when we get to demos. But let's bring this back. What are we all here, and why am I talking about this at a conference about HTML5 and JavaScript? Well, we're all trying to take data and present it, whether it's on grids or charts or applications, you take your pick. So at the end of the day, we need to be able to speak the same language. So we could have people who could speak, we could have one app that speaks Mandarin, another one that speaks French. We could be saying the same thing. But if we're not speaking the same language, we have no idea. Now that's where FDC3 helps. FDC3 gives us a common language where we can come together and talk about the same thing, but without the same nouns and verbs, we're still really confused. We could even be talking about Bloomberg IDs and tickers and be talking about the same thing and still have no idea about what's going on. So the way that we've solved for this problem with FactSet is really two things. The first is in our FactSet release in OpenFin is we fully implemented the FDC3 instrument API. So we're talking FDC3 to everybody. And the next is we're hanging our full Symbology off of all those API calls. So if you have FactSet in your environment already, and it's part of your OpenFin ecosystem, we can play the universal translator. We can play nice with all your applications. If you don't have FactSet today, need the thumbs up, play nice. And if you don't have FactSet today, well, we can give you that data as well. If you want our 40 years of Symbology and everything else, you can take it as an API, or you can take it as a feed, put it in your data warehouse, knock your socks off. So let's do a couple demos. Let's show the fun stuff. So first example, I told you that entity data is really hard, and anyone here who's played in data management knows that's true. Well, let me show you a fun way to visualize it. This is not a tool I can sell you. This is an internal tool our content teams use, but this is really slick. What this does is it visualizes our entity model, and this is what our content teams use. And everything you see in this knowledge graph here, this is actually FactSet as an example, but these are all of our subsidiaries, our acquisitions, our bank loans, our equities, all that stuff. And as I open them up, you'll see every node has all the symbols already tied to it in our model. And if I drill into, say, our equity, our stock that's traded New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ, I can go in and you can see all the options that are tied to that. So we've mapped all this already. And on top of all those, we have the symbols for every one of those. So it's very easy for us to share that content out as part of an FDC3 message. Now, if you want a more complicated example, let's take a look at something like JP Morgan. JP Morgan Chase, big financial conglomerate, really complicated from an entity perspective. And poof, look at that. It's crazy. If you zoom out a little bit here, you can start to get an idea for JP Morgan. But there's a lot of things going on here between subsidiaries and bonds and debt and all sorts of fun stuff. And by the way, in this knowledge graph, I'm only showing one hop of relationships. If you start going out multiple stages, it gets really crazy really fast. So we have all this, and we can help you solve these sorts of data problems in your platform. So that's the data part. Now let me talk about how we put it to use. So something we've been talking about at FinJS for a while is FactSet and OpenFin. We've wanted to have FactSet and OpenFin, and I'm excited to tell you, as of this morning, we are live. So you can go to our download site, which I'll give you the link for later. Thank you. And you can download the FactSet workstation in OpenFin. I think we are the first market data terminal at this scale using OpenFin. So this is very cool. So we're running FactSet and OpenFin here. We can go and we can pop out components. This will be a chart in a minute once we pump some data into it. We're using the layout service, so I can snap this right onto the side of FactSet. I can open up something else like a full quote here, pop it out. I'm going to dock that too. And then let's go to something where I can actually blast some tickers. If we jump over to our company security tab here, this is where an analyst or a PM spends their day looking at stocks. We can come in and put something in. So let's put in Apple. And it's going to blast out. And of course, all the components update. Boom, there you go. But under the hood, we're not doing any FactSet stuff here. This is all OpenFin using FDC3 context blasting. You can update on the other side, send it back. So that's great. But it's more fun if it's not just FactSet playing in the party. So here's a more complex view. So this is our dashboard view within our workstation. We've got charts, we've got news, we've got quotes, we've got portfolio views, we've got a watch list. This is the OpenFin FDC3 demo app. So I can come in and open up a chart and a blotter, not using the layout service, guys. Shame, shame. But I can start blasting things, and you're noticing everything in FactSet that's security-centric updates. And I can blast back out of FactSet, back over there, and watch those charts update. And I can do that from any of these components. So everything is participating in the ecosystem. So that's really cool. Now, what's going on under the hood? Well, I'm going to pop up here. We have a handy-dandy little bus watcher app that is using the layout service, because watch this, I can dock it, boom. And as I start sending messages around, you'll see those context messages popping up over there. So that's great. So I got one last thing to show you, and that is we have fully implemented support for the OpenFin color channels. So if you take a bunch of FactSet components, lay them out here, we've got the OpenFin sample components. I can blast those around just like we were before. Let's do some more blasting. Let's do some more blasting. Blast one more. Sorry, this is recorded, so I can't skip ahead. But if I change this to the red channel here, we'll put this chart on a red channel, we'll put that chart on a red channel. And now, if I blast out of the blotter, only the full quote updated. But if I go and change the things on my red channel and put a ticker in there, boom, everything updates. So fully supported. So that's great. So this is live today. Please, if you're a FactSet user, you can go and download this right from our downloads website, right alongside all of our other versions of FactSet. If you're already a FactSet subscriber, this comes at no added cost to you, which is super exciting. It's fully FDC3 compliant, full FactSet Symbology integration, leverages the OpenFin layout service, and fully supports the OpenFin color channels. It is a dev conference, so I do have to mention our dev portal, developer.factset.com. Please check it out for all of our content and APIs. And that's it with 5 seconds to go. Thank you very much. Come visit us in the back.